Joining us now to discuss the news on trade, Daniel Rosen, Rhodium Group, a founding partner, and Matthew Slaughter, Dean and Professor of International Business at the Tuck School of Business at Dartmouth. None of us, I don't know what other issues means. Dan, do you think there really are other issues, or is it just an ag deal at this point?
In 1999, we negotiated the WTO accession package with China.
Yeah.
Before it was even signed, it was made public. It was dozens of pages of detailed work that had been accomplished on stuff inside China, deeply structural stuff. It wasn't just a handful of ag commodity products.
So did it help?
This is kind of an incredible shrinking deal.
Yeah. Did
here.
it help? Oh, that didn't do any good back then, did it? We had all the details, and then none of them were adhered to.
The problem wasn't China's WTO participation. It was whether we took it seriously and tried to use it and enforce it and keep going. You don't do one deal and then go away to the beach for 2 decades and think it's going to continue to be good for your company. You got to keep working.
So should we have re-entered this fray?
The way that it's been done the past 3 years? Well,
yeah.
Evidently not, given where President Trump set the bar on what he was going to for sure deliver, or there'd be no deal at all. Right. We are so far away from that, I can't even see it on the
not
horizon.
even if it's a phase one?
I mean, what does phase one even mean? It means we have no text.
There's going to be a phase
Nothing's
two
been
and a
even
phase three,
signed.
presumably.
After the elections now, we're told. So earlier on, it was unmistakably said, if we don't get all the big stuff up front, we're not doing this. We're not going to go down this path.
So, Matthew, can we still come back after phase one, if it really is signed? Can we come back and say, all right, let's return to these intractable issues and make any headway at that point?
We could, but those big issues remain completely unresolved based on all the news reports of today. So the coercion of intellectual property, forced technology transfers, subsidies to state-owned enterprises, these issues have been building since China's accession into the WTO. It would be great to get those addressed, but that's going to have to remain for some sort of phase 2 or phase 3 agreement.
Do you think that we will abandon phase 2 and phase 3, or do you think that we're actually going to try to keep plugging away at this? I figured Lighthizer and Navarro are going to want to keep plugging away at it, right?
I think they will. I think as important as agriculture and manufacturing are to the U.S. economy, when you look at the whole U.S., there are only about 1 in 10 jobs in America. Importantly, trade and services is a huge part of the U.S. economy. It's one where we have a large comparative advantage compared to the rest of the world. So it's things like educational services, tourism services, people coming to the United States to study from our great professors at universities, coming to visit our landmarks, going to visit sporting events to see the Tiger Woods and the John Daly's and the other such athletes. Those are really kind of the future issues in global policy in the 21st century that need to be addressed.
So, Dan, you're not a market strategist, obviously. So yesterday, the news comes out that there's something going to be announced that there has been agreed upon. So it goes from up 50 to up 220 or whatever it is. So then further news comes out documenting that it's only ag buys and that we're rolling back the tariffs, and we're up another, 100 points or so today. Yeah. Do you think the markets are just looking for some type of removal of uncertainty about the tariffs, or they're wrong, or they're not oversold since we're at new highs again? Are they just misinterpreting that nothing's been accomplished here?
When it comes to China, investors, generally pretty reasonable-minded people, are willing to believe that policy leaders, if they want, can just make these things happen, sort of without regard to what the economic fundamentals and the value and the underlying stuff is. We've seen that for the past 3 weeks in China debt markets, where the big story really is that onshore and offshore Chinese firms are defaulting on their bonds, on their debt. And yet, a little bit of sunshine in the property sector, which is the most bubbly, in-trouble industry in the whole of China, has led to a bit of a global rally, thinking that somehow Chinese construction is coming back with a roar and that liquidity is going to be able to carry that over the shoals here. So it's just emblematic of how willing people are to suspend their normal analytic toolbox in order to look for another source of yield.
When we've mentioned it, when I see what Navarro says under a nom de plume or whatever, and when I see what Lighthizer wants, and when I see, we had Steve Bannon on yesterday, who still probably has a presence here. There are people that want to do much more draconian negotiation.
Yeah, I was going to say, we talk about phase 2 of the trade deal,
yeah.
but what's inside the
trade
boundaries
war,
of
of the Cold War. Yeah.
What's inside the boundaries of trade is ever shrinking. It's an ever shrinking impossible burger, is what it is.
But they want to tackle
all
those
the
things.
stuff
You mean
that's
keeping out human rights, keeping out the security
Well, no.
issues,
I mean, this is dealing with ag.
Right.
But all the industries that really matter to the future of the country, high technology, manufacturing, all that, is being dealt with in America. But it's being dealt with export control regulations, inward investment, the FIRMA thing, the inward investment FDI restrictions, the entities list in telecommunications.
Oh, from
all these, all these
that's
really important industries. Not that soybeans is not.
They don't want
but it's
any
not
of those
the
things in a
future
trade
job
deal,
creator.
We are having all of those things.
Soybeans is not going to employ our kids.